Hey, and welcome back to Unstuck. I'm Robin Goldenberg, and today we're doing something a little different for episode 12. Over the past few weeks, I've had business owners message me on LinkedIn, Instagram, even replying to the newsletter with questions like, what if I don't know what I want this business to look like in 3 years? Or how do I stick to a plan without burning out? Or am I the bottleneck? And how do I fix that? So I decided to hit pause on the teaching for a week and answer the questions that are clearly on your mind right now. Real business, real people, real problems. So let's get into it. So the first question I want to answer is I know I need a strategy, but I don't even know where to start. What do I do first? Okay. Well, first off, this is so common. When you're in the weeds, everything feels urgent. And when everything feels important, the truth is nothing gets done. So here's where I always start. Ask yourself, if this got better, what else would get easier? That question right there is a strategy shortcut. It helps you spot the bottleneck that is quietly driving chaos. And once you identify that one constraint, now you've got something to build around. So don't start with goals, start with friction. What's slowing down your business that you're pretending is fine? That's your starting point. That is your leverage. Okay, the next question that I got is I've made a million plans, but I never stick to them. Is this a me problem or a structure problem? Well, the classic, I must be the problem. Nope. If you keep abandoning your plan, I'd bet money it's a structure problem pretending to be a discipline problem. Here's what that usually looks like. The plan lives in your head, not your systems, and no one else sees it or owns it. And there's no weekly rhythm to review and adjust. That's not a failure of willpower, that's a failure of design. And what I will say is that most business owners have an ass ton of willpower. So think about that. You work very hard all the time. No one is doubting that. This isn't about are you working hard enough? Are you hustling harder? Are you doing enough? This is a systems issue, a structure problem. So here's the fix, make the plan visible, put it somewhere you and your team can access. Assign clear owners to each priority, not departments, but names of actual people. And then build in a rhythm 15 minutes every Monday to ask what's the plan, what's behind, what needs a decision. If you do that, the plan will stay alive. And if you don't, it will die by Wednesday, just like the last one. The third question I want to answer is what if I don't know what I want my business to look like 3 years from now? You know what? That's a totally fair question. And honestly, more honest than most founders will admit. Here's the truth, you don't have to know exactly what you want, but you do have to know what you're not willing to do anymore. Start there. What clients drain you? What services feel like a grind? What part of your week feels like you're pretending to be a version of yourself? Write those down. That's your not this list. And then flip it. If not that, then what? This gives you a rough shape to start planning against. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't get stuck on perfection. Clarity is iterative, but you can't iterate if you're stuck in neutral. Question four is my team is great, but they're not proactive. I still have to drive everything. How do I change that? Ugh. This one really hits because a couple years ago, I was in the same spot and it was really hard to figure out how to turn my team into drivers. So, what I'll tell you is if your team isn't being proactive, here's what's probably happening. They don't know the real priorities, they don't understand why those things matter, and they don't feel confident that they're allowed to move without you. That's not a team issue, it's a clarity issue. So, here's your fix. Here's what worked for me. Here's what I've seen work with other clients. Share the 1 year map with your team. If they don't know where the business is going, they can't lead inside of it. Define success for each of their roles, not just do the thing, but own the outcome. And set up weekly syncs where they drive the updates. You don't want to be the taskmaster, I promise. You want to build initiators. Proactive teams aren't born, they're built through ownership, trust, and context. And I also want to add here that a lot of business owners think that the people they have on their team cannot be those proactive people. And so what they do is go hire someone who says they'll be proactive. But ultimately, if you are not putting the systems in place, not giving them the confidence and the vision, then even those people that you hired to be proactive, they'll be inactive or ineffective. Okay, question 5. So, what if I'm the bottleneck and I don't know how to get out of the way? Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been here. If you've ever said, it's just easier if I do it myself, this one's for you. Yes, you might be the bottleneck. You know what? That's okay. You're not broken. You're just over centralized. You've been doing this for a long time. This is your baby. And yes, theoretically, some tasks might be faster if you do it. But ultimately, that keeps you in that position of having to do that task. So here's the move: pull up your org chart or sketch one, but base it on functions in the business, not job titles. And ask yourself, where am I still sitting in multiple seats? And where am I needed for approval, direction, or cleanup? Then pick one seat, just one, to replace yourself in over the next 90 days and start there. And here's the trick: don't start by handing things off. Start by building the visibility system so you can hand things off. Because delegation without any kind of visibility, that's not trust, that's abdication, and ultimately will lead to failure. And it will just end you back in this position of it's just easier if I do it myself on this repetitive hamster wheel cycle. So the next question that I got was, how do I balance long-term planning with all the fires I'm dealing with right now? This is the most honest question on the list probably, and the answer, it's not sexy, but it's strategic. And my answer is, you don't balance it, you protect it. If you wait until the fires stop to plan, you will never plan. I hear this a lot when I talk to prospects that we're just not ready right now because we've got a lot of stuff going on. The problem is when you stay in that mindset, you'll never be ready. You'll never plan. You will live to fight fires every day. So here's what I tell clients: I want you to block 90 minutes once a week. It's an hour and a half. No Slack or Teams or whatever you use, Ring Central. No emails, no meetings, just you and the business. Use that time to think, not to do tasks. And I want you to ask yourself, what am I solving for right now? What's working that I can double down on? Where am I making decisions from fear? This practice is where your long term plan survives, even when things are messy. Okay, the next question is, how do I know if I'm focusing on the right things this quarter? And I love this one. I have a little test for you. Ask yourself, if we made real progress on this, would it make other things easier or unnecessary? If the answer is yes, it's probably the right thing. If the answer is no, it might be a distraction, a delay tactic, or a dopamine hit masquerading as strategy. Another bonus filter to throw in here is this solving a symptom or the source of the problem? Don't confuse effort with impact. Focus is about choosing leverage, not just doing activities. Question 8 that we got was, I'm feeling totally burnt out. Girl, I feel you. How do I keep showing up as a leader when I'm running on empty? First, you are not weak. Don't think that burnout is a sign of weakness. You are over capacity. Burnout usually means that you're sitting in too many seats without the margin to think. So I want you to start with a capacity audit. What can be cut, paused, or delegated this week? And where are you carrying other people's jobs or expectations? Then carve space, not forever, just enough to get clear again. I got 2 more questions that I really need to answer. So question 9 is, I feel like I'm not sure I even want to be doing this anymore. What do I do when I feel completely disconnected from the business? Admittedly, I felt like this last week. I wanted to burn my whole business down. Things happen. But this is more common than people are willing to admit, especially after early success. So I want you to think about this and reframe it. What do I want my life to look like 3 years from now? And does this business still fit into that picture? If the answer is yes, it needs a reset. And if the answer is no, you might need to evolve the model or plan your exit. There's no harm in that. There's nothing that says like you failed, right? You are setting yourself up for success even if that means this business isn't where I need to be. Give yourself permission to reassess. That is a leadership power move too. And finally, our last question. How do I get my team aligned with the plan when I feel like they're just waiting for my instructions? So, what I will tell you is most teams aren't unmotivated, they're unclear. I hear complaints a lot from business owners that their team is lazy or that they don't want to work or they only work if I'm watching them or whatever that might be. But I think the truth really is that they are unclear about where you're going. And people generally want to be tied to a mission, to a direction. So share that 1 year map. Show them the why behind the work. Give them context and ownership. You will have people that latch onto that and they love it, and you will have the clock in, clock outers who are just there to do a job. All businesses need both aspects of people. It doesn't make either of those types of people lesser. You just need to know where to put them. So once you do that, let them lead check ins so you stop being the middleman. Alignment isn't just a speech we give, it is a system that we create and put in place. So if you saw yourself in any of these questions, you're not behind. Just building the muscle of leadership and structure. That's what Unstuck is here for. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be clear and committed to moving with purpose. Next week, we're getting back into strategy and breaking down how to use your quarterly plan to build real momentum, not just more to dos. So, subscribe to Unstuck wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want my eyes on your org chart, your priorities, or your plan, book a strategy sprint. The link is in the show notes. And if this episode gave you a breakthrough, forward it to the business owner who needs to hear it. Let's get focused. Let's get moving. Let's get unstuck.